संन्यासस्तु महाबाहो दुःखमाप्तुमयो गतः योगयुक्तो मुनिर्ब्रह्म न चिरेणाधिगच्छति योगयुक्तो विशुद्धात्मा विजितात्मा जितेन्द्रियः सर्वभूतात्मा भूतात्मा कुर्वन्नपि न लिप्यते नैव किञ्चित् करोमीति युक्तो मन्येत तत्त्ववेत् पश्यन् शृण्वन् स्पृशन् जिघ्रन् अश्नन् गच्छन् स्वपन् श्वसन् प्रलपन् विसृजन् गृह्णन् उन्मिषन् निमिषन्नपि इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेषु वर्तन्त इति धारयन् ब्रह्मण्याधाय कर्माणि सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा करोति यः लिप्यते न स पापेन पद्मपत्रमिवाम्भसा कायेन मनसा बुद्ध्या केवलैरिन्द्रियैरपि योगिनः कर्म कुर्वन्ति सङ्गं त्यक्त्वात्मशुद्धये युक्तः कर्मफलं त्यक्त्वा शान्तिमाप्नोति नैष्ठिकीम् अयुक्तः कामकारेण फले सक्तो निबध्यते सर्वकर्माणि मनसा सन्न्यस्यास्ते सुखं वशी नवद्वारे पुरे देहि नैव कुर्वन्न कारयन् न कर्तृत्वं न कर्माणि लोकस्य सृजति प्रभुः न कर्मफलसंयोगं स्वभावस्तु प्रवर्तते न दत्ते कस्यचित् पापं न चैव सुकृतं विभुः अज्ञानेनावृतं ज्ञानं तेन मोह्यन्ति जन्तवः
ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Chapter 5, we continue with verse number 12 onwards. Yukta karma palam tyaktva shantimaknoti naishtikim. Ayukta kamakarena pale sakto nibhadyathe. Yukta karma palam tyaktva shantimaknoti naishtikim. Ayukta kamakarena pale sakto nibhadyathe. Meaning, the yuktaha, united one, having abandoned the fruit of action, attains eternal peace. The ayuktaha, non-united, impelled by desire and attached to fruit, is bound. So he's talking about the two categories, the yuktaha and the ayuktaha. Yuktaha is one united to the path. The united one, meaning well-established one, having abandoned the fruit of action. Karma phalam tyaktva. He has abandoned the fruit of action, attains eternal peace. The non-united, is bound. So, first thing, yuktaha and ayuktaha both are in action. Both are doing something. Both are acting. Both are doing something. The consequences is different for both. One person is bound, the other person is attains eternal peace. He's talking about the Karma Yogi here. What happens to the Karma Yogi and what happens to a materialistic person? He spoke about how Jnani relates to action. How Jnani relates to action? I do nothing at all. Though doing, he says, I do nothing at all. How does the sannyasi relates to action? The sannyasi relates to action only for the sake of the self. His actions are directed only for self-realization, having no other desires. Karma Yogi is working for the goal of self-realization, but having so many other desires, not knowing what one to pursue, goes through fluctuations. Sometimes he falls, sometimes he works. He goes through a lot of fluctuations. Is a Karma Yogi. And who is Ayuktaha here? Impelled by desire and attached to the fruit. So, any action, if it is driven by a desire and result oriented, you are interested in the result, you will be bound. You will be bound. Ayuktaha does it. Or the Ayuktaha is bound because he acts in this way. How is he acting? Actions are driven by desires, impelled by desires, and attached to the fruit of action. For the Karma Yogi, attaining Tyaktva Karma Phala Sangam, he having renounced the attachment to fruit of action. Having renounced the attachment to fruit of action, he attains peace. Please understand, here he is not talking about the peace, the bliss of self-realization. Relatively, it's a relative peace, not the bliss of self-realization. It is applicable even to a sannyasi. This abandoning the fruit of action is the common thumb rule right through. Abandoning the fruit of action is the common thumb rule that you have to follow right through, whether you are a yogi or a sannyasi. For even a sannyasi must abandon the fruit of his action. What is the fruit of sannyasi's action? Self-realization. So he has to let go of the desire for the fruit of self-realization. He has to let go of that also. So this is the common thumb rule that is applicable to the yogi as well as sannyasi. Jnani, the enlightened one, says, I do nothing at all. Ashnan, Jignan, Swapnan, Swashan, all that he spoke. Eyes see, I don't see. Ears hear, I don't hear. The mind feels, I have nothing to do with it. All that, the Jnani's way of relating to action. The Jnani way of relating to action is this. What is attachment to the fruit of action? Attachment to the fruit of action means the fruit is that which is the end of action, stops the action. Fruit means the end of action. When you are attached to the fruit of action means you are interested in stopping the action. First you have to understand the fruit means, what is the fruit? Fruit is that which is the end of action. I got the fruit means action has find its, the action finds its fulfillment only with the arrival of the fruit. The action is complete only with the arrival of the fruit. Therefore, as soon as the fruit comes, what happens? The fruit comes, what happens? Action stops. For what is there to continue the action if the fruit has been achieved? Therefore, attachment to the fruit of action is always attachment to inaction. Attachment to the fruit of action is nothing but attachment to inaction. That's why right through the Bhagavad Gita, even for a yogi, even for a sannyasi, even for everybody, the common principle is Tyaktva karma pala sangam. Renounce your attachment to the fruit of action. Why renounce the fruit of, why renounce the fruit? Fruit, the arrival of fruit is indicative of the stopping of the action. Because to enjoy the fruit, you have to stop the action to enjoy the fruit. You have to stop the action to enjoy the fruit. 11 months I work very hard, sir. For what? 1 month to go on a holiday and enjoy. So the fruit of the action can be enjoyed only if this action is stopped and you do some other action. So you have to do another action to enjoy the fruit of this action, which is what we call as entertainment, holiday, break. All this is what? Enjoying the, wanting to enjoy the fruit of action. So who is a yuktaha? One who is united to yoga. The one who is united to yoga is not interested in the fruit of action. And we always find it difficult to reconcile with this. For we always say, if the fruit is not there, what will drive the action? If the fruit is not there, what will drive the action? If the fruit is not there, what will drive the action? And then we reconcile and say, okay, so what it means, sir, while you are acting, don't be bothered about the fruit. So we take it like, okay, as I am acting, we should not be bothered about the fruit, but at some point of time, the fruit will come and I should enjoy the fruit. But sir, you also have said like this in the class so many times. Yeah, at least do not be bothered about the fruit while acting. In the context of the spiritual journey of yogi to sannyasi to jnani, rules change. You have to be very clear. So rules change. What is the rule at kindergarten will not be the rule at the university. In the kindergarten, you only play, you don't study. When you go to PhD or when you go to master's class, the master's classroom, the sessions will be for 2 hours, one period. 2 hours, one period. How do I know that? Is because sometimes they ask me to speak to those students, and I ask, okay, 45 minutes, 1 hour, sir, 2 hours. One session goes on for 2 hours. As you grow, the rules also changes. Are you able to follow? What is the rule? Do not be attached to the fruit of action. For attachment to the fruit of action implies attachment to inaction. Attachment to the fruit of action is nothing but attachment to inaction. You do an action with the aim and purpose of enjoying the fruit. A person does an action with the aim of enjoying the fruit. The question is, what is wrong with that? There's nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong. Bondage will happen. What is wrong with the bondage? There's nothing wrong with bondage. No, that's all. Nothing to worry after that. Are you able to follow? What is wrong if I enjoy the fruit of action? What is wrong if I want to enjoy the fruit of action? What is wrong if I want to enjoy the fruit of action? What is wrong with that? You will be bound. You will be bound. If you say it's okay to be bound, if you say I'm okay to be, let me enjoy the fruit of action, and it is okay for me to be in bondage. At least spiritual evolution, growth, in the happiness we are not able to see at all. At least I will enjoy at least renunciation is bliss, spiritual growth is bliss. All that nothing seems to, that bliss doesn't seems to happen at all. At least we know the other bliss. What is the other bliss? Enjoy the fruit of action. What is enjoy? If you start enjoying the fruit of action, you become bound, and you turn into a ayukta. The interest in action is karma yogi. The karma yogi means he is interested in action. He is a karma yogi. Interested in the result is a samsari. So it's very, this is how you can understand it in another way. A person who is interested in action is a karma yogi. A person who is interested in the result and wanting to enjoy the result of the action is a samsari. And samsari is one who is bound. Samsari is one who is bound. Is bound. What is bondage here? Wanting to enjoy the result, and enjoying the result creates another cycle of action result. You do an action, you get the result. What is the bondage here? It creates another cycle. What is another cycle it creates? The cycle of vasanas. Vasanas drives you to action. The action and wanting to enjoy the fruit creates another cycle. What is another cycle? More desires, more vasanas, more fruits. Are you okay till now? How bondage happens is, out of a limited action, you want an unlimited fruit. Out of limited action, you want an unlimited fruit. Imagine you work for 1 month and rest of your whole lifetime pension is given to your children, to your wife, to your children, to your grandchildren. Pension will be given. Will anybody work after that? Nobody will work after that. No. Are you able to follow? You do an action, you perform an action, and out of this action, which is you want an unlimited, endless fruit out of action which is limited. This expectation leads to sorrow and frustration. That is why you say, my God, I have worked so hard, I got the salary, again I have to start. Again I have to start. Again I have to start. Yeah. That is why even today they say, no, sir, whatever it is, government job is better, sir. Yeah, whatever it is, government job is better. What is betterment in that? Limited action will give unlimited result. Are you able to follow? What is unlimited result? You need not do the action anymore, but the fruit keeps coming. The fruit keeps coming. You will say, but I deserve it. No, sir. What is your problem? Yeah. Why is your stomach burning? It is. I deserve it. I am getting it. What is Krishna's problem? What is your problem if I get it? Driven by ignorance is the problem. Driven by ignorance is the problem. What is the ignorance? Action which is limited by nature can give a result that is also limited by nature. But what is your expectation? Your expectation is permanent, unlimited fruit. You are expecting a permanent result. Your expectation of fruit is permanent. Your expectation of result is permanent. But what action can give? It can give only that which is temporary. If you understand this knowledge, if you understand this through knowledge and understanding, by default, you will not be interested in the result anymore. For your focus will shift towards what? Your focus will shift towards that which is permanent. Are you okay till now? Vedanta is not asking you to search for permanent. Vedanta is not asking you to search for unlimited. You are searching for unlimited. You are searching for permanent. It's not Vedanta telling you start looking for permanency. Start looking for that which is unlimited. No. You are seeking that. You are seeking that already, and it says how to get it. Result gives you the satisfaction. Samsari says action is painful, result is satisfying. The samsari says action is painful. I have to do it. Why? Because then only I'll get the result. Karma Yogi says actions performed for the sake of self-realization liberates. Otherwise, action binds. Otherwise, action binds. And why does he have to do action? Because of the past. Because of his own past, he has no choice but to do action now. And he wants to make sure that because of the unintelligent past, he has created a whole set of vasanas to act now. From now on, I will be clear through knowledge and understanding so that I will not create another future like my present. See, we always want a future which is better than the present, no? Are you able to follow? We always want a future which is better than our present. What is our present? Bondage, sorrow, suffering is the present. And if you want a better future, you need to do something completely different from what you are doing now, isn't it? If you are continuing to do what you are doing now, how can you expect a better future? Or if you continue to do what you are doing now, your future would be exactly what it is now. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani, jatare shayanam. Iha samsare bahudustare. Yeah. In a new body, under the guidance of a new, under the suffocation of a new parents, yeah, in a new body, under the suffocation of a new set of grandparents. You look at your grandparents today and you see, oh my God, another set of grandparents. You don't want. Why? Because the way in which you are acting now will create that, which is what he's calling as bondage. Ayuktaha has this bondage. The only difference is what? Suffering under new set of people. The only entertainment is suffering under new set of people. Lord Rama understood this in Yoga Vasishtha. That's why he told Dasharatha, you don't know, Dasharatha, how many fathers I have had in the past. You don't know how many more fathers I am going to have in the future. You don't know how many mothers I have had in the past. And you do not know how many mothers I am going to have in the future. He is able to see life in a much penetrative vision than our narrow vision of today. What is our narrow vision of today? If I do this, what will I get? And enjoy whatever I get. That's all our wish. If I do this, what will I get? Yeah. Facebookல ஒரு 100 லைக் கிடைக்கும். Facebookல in Facebook ஒரு 100 likes. In YouTube or 1,000 followers. And then what? In another body, go try the in another body, try the same thing. This is what he calls as bondage. And all these, the starting point of all this is attachment to the fruit. Attachment to the fruit. The result orientation. What is called as, technically it is called result orientation. And the difficult thing is to let go of the fruit, because if I let go of the fruit, action stops. If I let go of the fruit, if I drop the fruit, then the question that you will ask is, result interest illana, then why? Then why do the action itself? So the action itself has a meaning only because of the fruit. And what is the fruit? That's why the Sanskrit name for the result of the action is a fruit. Fruit means that which diminishes, that which deteriorates. Fruit itself means that. The Sanskrit root of the word phala, beautiful root. That which deteriorates is phala. The Sanskrit root, result, that which deteriorates is phala. So whatsoever your phala is, it is deteriorating by nature. In the Panini Sutra, where you find the etymological meaning of all these words, beautiful. Yoga derives from the root yuj, means to unite, join. Where does it, all this comes, all these roots, etymological meaning comes from the Panini Sutras. In that he says, Phalguyate iti pala. That which diminishes is the fruit. And when it is diminishing, it gives you a pain. You believe that you deserve much, much better than what you have. You always believe you deserve much, much better than what you have. Why? Because your expectation of the fruit is a non-diminishing permanent. Non-diminishing means permanent. And fruit means diminishing. Yuktaha understands this and Ayuktaha doesn't know this. Pressurized by desires and hopes, you bound yourself. So how do you bind yourself? You bind yourself through the pressure of desires and hopes. And what is a hope? Hope is one day everything will be all right. One day everything will be better. One day everything will be all right. Clear? Dreams. What is desires? See, desires are nothing but dreams. Huh? Desires are nothing but dreams. That's all. And we are promoted to dream. No, dream. Correct. Anyway, we are dreaming. Somebody has to come and say dream also. Desires are nothing but dreams. My grandfather had a dream for his son, which is his father. My father had a dream for his son, that is me. And I have a dream for my daughter. Don't sympathize with me and my family. Yeah? I'm using my family because if I say your family, you'll get angry. I'm using Pavan sir unga family. Don't sympathize. Yeah. Don't sympathize with my family now. Yeah. Pavan sir unga grandfather, father. Ninga kuda sir pavan. Nalla பேசுறேல ஆனாலும் உங்களுக்கும் அதே கஷ்டமா? Don't. Yeah. And my father's dream and me are diametrically opposite. My father's dream and me are diametrically opposite. Even in his wildest dream, he never thought he will have a son like this. And I am thinking, now today I'm having plan and program and better future for my daughter. And my daughter says, okay, you continue to have your dreams and all. I will continue to have dreams for my. So at any given point of time, what is desire? Desires are nothing but dreams which doesn't know what fulfillment is. If desires can bring about fulfillment, so many of our desires has been fulfilled. From your own experience, you can understand it from your own experience. So many of your desires has been fulfilled. But did this bring about any fulfillment in your personality? The unfulfillment still remains the same. It didn't bring any fulfillment. Even amongst those who says, I am contented, I am fulfilled, their contentment, their fulfillment is also very fragile, very flimsy. For one thing going wrong is enough to upset the entire fulfillment, contentment. It means what? Desires are there, fulfillment of the desires also happens. That is the divine help. That's the divine help. It's not that none of our desires are fulfilled. More or less at every level, our desires are getting fulfilled only. But what is not happening out of that fulfillment? What is the true result that should come? A satisfaction, a contentment, a fulfillment should come in me. But what is happening? Desires are getting fulfilled, but my unfulfillment is going on. But my unfulfillment is அப்படியே இருக்குது. No change in that. No change in that. Therefore, dream, desire, fulfillment of desire. What is a desire? Desire is nothing but the hope of an unfulfilled mind. That's desire. Desire is nothing but the hope of the unfulfilled mind. The unfulfilled mind has a hope of fulfillment through desiring and obtaining the object of desire. Vedanta says, how many times you have tried this in this janma? You got it. What happened to you? Of the 10 desires, 7 desires are fulfilled. Now, 70% you should be fulfilled. No? 70% you should be fulfilled. No? The intensity of unfulfillment is the same. Therefore, what is desire? Desire is nothing but the hope of the unfulfilled mind to find fulfillment. Action and the result of the action can never give fulfillment. Action and fruit of the action can never give fulfillment. Then what gives fulfillment? Then what gives fulfillment? The knowledge that teaches you that your unfulfillment is imaginary. Your unfulfillment is not real. The unfulfillment is not real. Your unfulfillment is imaginary. From another angle, if unfulfillment is real, if shoka is our true nature, we all must be happy in shoka because we are in our true nature, no? Correct? If shoka is our true nature, if unfulfillment is our true nature, we all will be happy in shoka because that's our swabhava. But then we are not happy being unfulfilled. We are not happy in shoka. It means that's not our true nature. This is manana. This has to be done again and again and again. As I am talking, as you are listening, it may be very appealing. In 2 minutes, this will disappear. A monkey is a happy monkey only when it is restless, because the natural state of the monkey is to be restless. Are you able to understand this example? Supposing if you find a meditative monkey in the supposing if you see a monkey which is meditative, he will say, come, let's go and see the doctor, for there is something wrong. Are you able to follow? No, sir, the monkey has dropped the desires and it has become, it is depressed. Yeah, it is going through a very, are you able to follow the example? Why? Because the true, you will be happy only in your true nature. You will be happy and peaceful only when you attain your true nature. Beautiful example Swamiji gives, the coiled spring. Remember the example of the coiled spring? You can't give a better example than that. The 4 feet spring compressed till it reaches the original state, there will be a pressure, a tension. If tension is our original state, we all should be happy being tensed. From this, what do you understand? All these worries and anxieties and hopes and expectations are the indication that we have moved away from our original nature. The desires, the hopes, the expectations are indicators that we have moved away from our original nature. So a karma yogi understands this. What does he understand? Fulfillment is not going to come out of action. Fulfillment is going to come out of knowledge and understanding. What is the knowledge and understanding? That I am full. But sir, we are hearing this for 30 years, 40 years. I'm hearing that I am full, I am full, I am full. But nothing is, nothing is happening. Unfulfillment. Then where is the knowledge and understanding? In fact, sir, you give us a chance. We will explain better than you. One day, literally it happened during the course time. It happened one day in Swamijism. I was doing something. Suddenly he said, "You know, one day people will come and tell me that he is explaining better than you, sir. People will come and tell me that." I said, "How is that possible? How can anybody come and say that I can give a better explanation than?" And today, when I look at him, I don't look at his face, sir. Because when he said, "Nada, so the correct answer," because people are going and telling him that. What? Without ignorance, there can't be anything. So, same thing will happen. What? I can give anybody here can give a better explanation. Yeah. See, at least I don't give 10 different quotes now. At least I don't give 10 different quotes. I don't go so much of references and all that. People ask Manohar to speak, you will know. Yeah, if I give the platform to Manohar, you will think maybe Sir Manohar ta kathindam pesararon, you will think. Where is Ganesh? Illa pola irkinga. Today he is not here. Therilla.
I'm here.
Irkela. Very good. Ganesh, correct?
No.
People are telling him, wow.
Sir.
People are telling Ganesh that.
Hariom, sir. Hariom.
Ganesh told me, what all you spoke, 2-3 things I took and I spoke, and people were saying, "Inime Arvindan sir vena, you come." So I have hearing that 30-40 years I am full, I am full, I am full, but nothing has changed. It means what? Somewhere down the line, I have not started the journey in the right direction. Somewhere I have not started the journey in the right direction. Why? Because I am still impelled by desire and fruits. So, a samsari versus a spiritual aspirant. This verse can be equated to karma yogi and samsari. This verse can be equated to sannyasi and samsari. But all that this verse is talking about is a comparative study between a spiritual aspirant and a non-spiritual aspirant. Yuktaha and ayuktaha. Yuktaha, a spiritual aspirant. Ayuktaha, non-spiritual. Non-spiritual aspirant means materialistic person. The consequences of spiritual aspirant is recognizing one's own true nature. The consequences of samsari is bondage. This is verse number 12. Now we move on to verse number 13. Yes.
You have a desire and then you want fulfillment of the fruit. That hasn't fulfilled. So if you're not satisfied with what you have got, you will pick another desire. It's like I work hard, I get 100 rupees. Now I believe that I have worked for this much, I'm getting 100 rupees. If I work more, I'll get 1,000 rupees. I work 10 times harder now, I'm going to get 1,000 rupees. Either there is a bondage or not.
The question that she is asking is how to recognize, how to understand bondage. How to recognize, how to understand bondage. Bondage means your effort increases, the quality of the fruit that you get also increases, but your unfulfillment remains the same. That is bondage. Again I repeat, bondage means the intensity of your effort increases, the quality of the fruit that you get also increases, but your unfulfillment remains the same. At one point of time, I get 100 rupees. I thought if I get 100 rupees, I'll be happy. I got that 100 rupees, but what I didn't get? The fulfillment that I expected. It's not that I didn't get any fulfillment. I got some fulfillment, but the fulfillment that I got is not. The fulfillment that I got didn't fulfill what? The fruit I got, the fruit that I got didn't fulfill the expectations of fulfillment that I get. One is the fruit that you get. Another is through the fruit you expect a quality of fulfillment. Through the fruit you expect a quality of the fulfillment. If you getting the fruit itself can give you fulfillment, I should be fulfilled. Yeah, I get a fruit, but then the fruit comes. But what doesn't come with the fruit? What doesn't come with the fruit? The fulfillment that I expected that I will get out of it. Are you able to follow? Bondage is what? Bondage means you always feel cheated by the result. That is bondage. You always feel cheated. What I got is not what? What I got is not what I deserve, expected, hoped for. I should be getting much more. Are you able to follow? Getting the fruit, if getting the fruit can find fulfillment. Are you able to follow? All this in a very simple way, in a very simple statement, in a very simple sentence. He calls it as, he puts a question. It's a rhetoric question. Swamiji puts a rhetoric question to explain all this in a very simple way. What is it? When is enough? Enough. When is enough? Enough. Are you able to follow? Enough is never enough. That state never comes at all. Are you able to follow? But you think if I get the fruit, I will say enough. Ramatirtha puts it beautifully as 99 club. Ramatirtha puts it very beautifully. He calls it as 99 club membership. Yeah. Membership is free, he says. Membership is free in this club, 99 club. What is 99 club? I get 99 things. And then I say, having gotten that 99, having gotten that 99, if I just get that one more, and that one more looks perfectly legitimate, perfectly right, it doesn't make you feel greedy, it doesn't make you feel that you are wrong in any way, because that one makes you complete, and you get that one, and you get that one. As soon as you get that one, immediately what happens? 99 plus 1 becomes a weird mathematics. 99 plus 1, ordinary mathematics. 99 plus 1 equals 100. 99 plus 1 equals 100. That is ordinary mathematics. But we have a different mathematics. 99 plus 1 becomes 999. Why? Because the mind says just that one more. Are you able to follow? That one more is bondage. That one more is bondage. In the book Fall of Human Intellect, the topic. The book Fall of Human Intellect, the topic. Nobody knows what they want. Yeah. Nobody knows what they want. Summarize that. Nobody knows what they want. Summarize that. Enough is never enough. Are you able to follow? Enough is never enough. But that person says, at any given point of time, the person says, I know exactly what I want. What is that? That one thing I want. And the entire delusion is because of that one thing. Are you able to follow? That one thing. What is that one thing? Whatever be it. I have everything, sir. Only that knee pain. Yeah. Only that knee pain. I am not able to climb the stairs. I'm not able to do prostrations. Adukada, sir, I'm feeling. My knee pain is only because I'm not able to do prostrations. When the knee was all right, no prostrations was done. That's a different. Yeah, that's a different story. Yeah, when the knee was right, running around behind something else. Are you able to follow? So the person genuinely believes that if that knee pain goes, everything will be all right. Are you able to follow? Okay, knee pain is all right. What will happen? Knee pain and all is all right, sir, but the building land, the staircase, they didn't build it properly. Something or the other will keep coming and disturbing your equanimity. Something or the other will come and disturb your equanimity. Something or the other will come and disturb your equanimity. Yeah, this is called bondage. So the person out of ignorance believes, okay, if I from 100, if I move to 1000, I'll be fulfilled. Another person says, no, having gotten 1000, nothing is happening. If I move from 1000 to a million, I'll be happy. So he does effort to get that million. It's not that he doesn't get that million. Million comes, but along with the million, what doesn't come? The fulfillment. It means what? The fulfillment is, what is bondage? What is bondage here? Bondage is a misunderstanding that when quantum increases, fulfillment will increase. Bondage is when quantity increases, fulfillment increases. When quality increases, fulfillment will increase. Vedanta says quantity and quality has got nothing to do with fulfillment. For fulfillment comes only by recognizing that you are full already. Are you able to follow? Bondage is what? Fulfillment will come through quantity, fulfillment will come through quality. That is why at one stage we will worry about the quantity, at another stage we want a better, at another stage we want a quality. We are not saying don't have quantity or quality. The quantity and quality has got nothing to do with fulfillment. Bondage is difficult to understand. Bondage is difficult to understand. Quality doesn't make any difference. Quantity doesn't make any difference. If quality can make difference, what is the quality of life 100 years back, 50 years back? Today's quality. We all should be enlightened souls by now, no? The current generation must be enlightened souls now. The quality. Are you able to follow? Increasing in quality has not brought about a betterment of a human being. Are you able to follow? Quantity. What is quantity? See, there is a time where there is only one type of rice. Here, you go to the rice store today, there are 150 Thailand rice, African rice, chili rice, chili not Molaga chili, that country, South American country, rice, 150 variety of rices, and you really don't know what to. But the quantity is there, the quality is there. What is the state of a human being? Are you able to follow? This vicharam will make you, this enquiry again and again and again will make you to understand the nature of bondage. Not understanding this, every generation thinks, if I make it better, we will be free. Every generation thinks, just as that previous generation thought, if I make it better, we will be free. This generation is thinking, if I make it better, it will be free. Yeah, the speed. Yeah, look at the speed of the machine, the speed of everything. Are you able to follow? What is bondage? Quality increases, quantity increases, agitations, frustration, shoka, unfulfillment remains the same. This is called samsara. This is called bondage. Wise one understanding this takes to a different journey. The wise one understanding this takes to a different journey. What is the journey he is experimenting? Okay. Fulfillment of desires through quantity and quality has not brought about any change. Let me experiment with a different method now. What is experimenting with a different method now? Let me try and follow what is said in the Shastras. Let me try and follow what is said in the Shastras and see whether it works. For the one who tries this, who experiences that it has worked, he says, what the Shastras are saying is true. What is the truth? Fulfillment comes through. Fulfillment doesn't come through fulfillment of desire. Fulfillment comes through transcending the desire. Fulfillment comes through recognizing one's own nature. Are you able to follow? This is how bondage happens. But every family, every individual, every generation thinks, my great-grandfather, I really don't know who's my great-grandfather and all, how he lived and all, I really don't know. Assume that my great-grandfather was living in a thatched roof, hut. My grandfather lived at least in a better walled house. My father lived in a better house. I am living in a better house. Yeah. RK sir help I am making my house better. Yeah. He only makes sure that my house is kept cool all the time. Yeah. At least my grandfather has to fan. Yeah. RK sir has made sure that I don't have to do anything. Just a remote. Yeah. Another pakatile the remote. Yeah. Keep the remote and just switch it on. It is Venkat. Na AC room la ukandirukaren. Switch it on and the worry and anxiety with which my grandfather lived, the worry and anxiety with which my father lived is the same worry and anxiety with which I am living, and the worry and the same worry and anxiety is with which my daughter, everybody is going to live. Means what? Fulfillment of desires, either through quantity or quality, has no relevance to what I am seeking. Are you able to follow? This is bondage. Think about it like this. In this angle, you think. Quantity and quality doesn't make any difference. No? You will know what bondage is. Just think in that. Are you able to follow? Don't ask in Tamil. Ask in separate. Something in Tamil is saying, it will take me half an hour. Yeah, so I said, ask me separately. I cannot answer this here. So, the quantity and quality is of no relevance. That's bondage. Quantity and quality has no relevance to freedom. The quantity and quality has no relevance to happiness. But still the mind says, Jasti bank balance Jasti irunda sandoshama dhaan irukku. Yeah. Bank balance is more, there is happiness. Yeah. New iPhone வாங்குனா நல்லா தானே இருக்குது. நானும் சொல்லினே இருக்கேன், யாரும் வாங்கியும் கொடுக்க மாட்டேன்றீங்க. என்னத்த சொல்லுங்க. I'm also saying week after week, I'm also saying something or the other, and one whole week I'm waiting whether something will come. Nothing is coming. Fine, it's nice, no. Every betterment makes it better, but it doesn't bring about any change in the internal state of a human being. This is called bondage. Seriya? We move on to verse number 13 now. Verse number 13. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvanna karayan. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvanna karayan. Mentally renouncing all actions, self-controlled, the embodied rests happily in the city of 9 gates, neither even acting nor causing to act. Beautiful. Mentally renouncing all actions and fully self-controlled, the embodied one rests happily in the city of 9 gates, neither acting nor causing to act. Now what is he saying? Verses 13, 14, 15. Description of a jnani who has reached that stage. 13, 14 and 15 is a description of the jnani. What is he? How is he? Yeah. The very study of him is so liberating. The very study about him itself is so liberating. Sarva karmani manasa. Mentally renouncing all actions. Sanyasyaste sukham vashi. Navadvare pure dehi. Navadvare pure dehi is a very, very typical poetic expression. Beautiful it is. 9 gates. The 9 holes. That's all. 9 gates is the 9 holes. The 9 holes. Rests happily in the city of 9 gates. Navadvare pure dehila, not in bondage and suffering and sorrow, is resting happily in the city of 9 gates, neither acting nor causing to act. This Navadvare pure dehi is a metaphor from Kathopanishad. It's an Upanishadic metaphor. Navadvare pure dehi is exactly from the Kathopanishad. Kathopanishad, he gives this. Resting happily. Resting happily. Neither acting nor causing to act. Neither acting nor causing to act. Causing to act what? He neither finds a reason for him to act, nor he will cause others to act. He will tell everybody, that's all. Neither he will act, nor he will tell others to act. Why? Action is born of avidya. Action is born of ignorance. Action is born of ignorance. And why are you being so proud being ignorant? Yeah. Action is born of ignorance. And you are so proud being ignorant. What is the pride in being ignorant? So he says he neither acts nor causes others to act. First thing he says, jnani, renouncing actions mentally and living in the body, performing actions. See, Navadvare pure dehi means living in the body means living in the body means acting. For nahi kasyat kshanamapi jatu dishtatya akarma krit. So as long as the body is there, actions will keep happening. Therefore, he is in the body acting, mentally renouncing all actions. Neither he acts nor causing others to act. You feel like asking, is he acting or not acting? Yeah. Is he act? Because as I said, I can't rewind. Yeah, if you rewind 1 minute before what I said, so contradictory, so self-contradictory. So you feel like asking, does a jnani act or not? Because he's saying very clearly, he's acting, not acting. He's acting, not acting. Not only he doesn't act, nor does he causes others to act. Abdina, what does it mean? He's not at all acting. Then what does it mean by Navadware Pure Dehi enjoying? It is contradicting that. Are you able to follow? A serious reader of the Bhagavad Gita, and I'm assuming that we are all serious readers, sir. We should be able to see this. We should be able to see these contradictions. He's saying neither causing to act nor acts. Immediately next, comma, Navadware Pure Dehi, enjoying living in the city of 9 gates. Enjoying living in the city of 9 gates means acting, because nahi kaschit chanamapi jadu tishtatya akarmakrit. So neither acting nor causing others to act, comma, fully in action, comma, mentally renouncing actions. Sir, our state is much better, sir. Our state is much better. The Jnani's state seems to be very, very confusing. Huh? Jnani state seems to be very confusing. First is Navadware Pure Dehi is an indicator that Jivan Mukta. Navadware Pure Dehi is an indicator of Jivan Mukta. He is a liberated person living in the body. It's an indicator. Navadware Pure Dehi. Second, he has mentally renounced all actions. How to understand this mentally renouncing all actions? Unless an example is given, you cannot understand this. What is the example? The waker with the knowledge of the waker entering the dream. The waker with the knowledge that he is the waker entering the dream, what interest he will have in the dream? Greatest success, the biggest loss, what difference does it make to him? Are you able to follow? The greatest success, the biggest loss will not make any difference. So in that sense, a Jivan Mukta, renouncing all actions. In that state, the waker with the knowledge of waker has a perfect self-control in the dream. Correct? Perfect self-control. Perfect sannyasasta. Sannyasa here means, the word sannyasa here is equated to having the vashi. Vashi is the self-control. Sannyasa means the having renounced. So the vashi means self-controlled. The vashi, the self-controlled. It's not that he has a desire and he is disciplining himself. Not that self-control. Waker by default will not be affected by anything in the dream. That kind of self-control. The catch here is neither he causes to act, neither he acts, nor causes others to act. But sir, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, assuming Krishna is a jnani, is somehow trying to convince Arjuna to act, no? Somehow he is trying Arjuna to convince him to act. Okay, you say that you don't act is okay. But causes others to act. What is the other here? What is the other here? He will not instigate the other also to action. He will keep telling the others, action happens and you have nothing to do with it. In that sense, he doesn't cause others to act. Are you able to follow? Causing others to act means what? Making them believe that you are the karta, the doer. He doesn't have the notion that he is the karta. Also, he tells the others that you are not the karta. A very beautiful difference. Are you able to follow? Neither he doesn't do karma, nor he will drive others into karma. Why? Because he says karma pertains to Prakriti and you are the karma pertains to Prakriti and who are you? The self, the Purusha. The Purusha, the self is you and action belongs to Prakriti. Gunaguneshu vartante. Already he has said that. They will be acting. Previously he said, out of, when Prakriti is acting, out of delusion, you think you are the doer. All that we have seen already. Chapter 4 we have seen. You should remember all that. He has already said that Prakriti does everything and you believe that you are the doer. You are not the doer. So what do you do? So he doesn't have any kartrutva, nor he tells others that act. He will tell others act minus the kartrutva. Are you able to see the difference? In that sense, he doesn't act, neither he causes others to act. He tells others, act because of your own past, you have accumulated so much, you have to act. But from the beginning, you should try and make sure that you don't have the kartrutvam. So he neither acts nor causing others to act. Navadvare pure dehi, I have already explained. Now are you able to follow? Navadvare pure dehi means a Jivan Mukta. And when a Jivan Mukta is living in the body, he will not be living in pain. He will live in bliss. Body will go through pain. He lives in bliss. Navadvare pure dehi is an indicator of Jivan Mukta. Throughout the Bhagavad Gita, you find him talking about Jivan Mukta. Throughout the Bhagavad Gita, he keeps talking about this Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta means liberated. Neither even acting nor causing to act. Na eva kurvanna na karayanna. Na eva kurvanna means he doesn't do any action. Na karayan. He will not instigate others to action. Yeah. அவரும் வேலை பண்ண மாட்டாரு, இருக்கிறவங்களையும் வேலை பண்ண விட மாட்டாரா? He will not do any work, and those who are working also he will prevent them from working. What does it mean? Na eva kurvanna nakarayan. Renouncing all actions through knowledge. Renouncing all actions through knowledge. The jnani resides in the body, which is the city of 9 gates, without doing any action or instigating any action. He is a Sakshi. He tells others, be a Sakshi. He is a Sakshi. He tells others, be a Sakshi. He renounces all actions mentally. Look at the words. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasya. Having renounced all actions mentally, comma, Vashishukam aste. Self-controlled rests happily. Where? In the city of 9 gates. Where? In the city of 9 gates. Na eva kurvanna na karayanna. Neither he acts nor instigate others to act. Meaning, this is how a jnani, a description of the jnani who has reached the supreme state. Has reached the supreme state. This is verse number 13. 13, 14 and 15 is the description of an jnani. With this, we conclude for today, verse number 13. Before I conclude the session, there is a question that I have to answer. There is a question that I have to answer. The question is, about the subtlety and pervasiveness. The question that the question is, in the hierarchy, we have always said, body is gross, mind is subtle. Mind is gross, intellect is subtle. Intellect is gross, Brahman is subtle. This is the hierarchy. Vaijayanti, you asked the question, no? I'm answering for you only. Reference, verse number 42, chapter 3, Bhagavad Gita. Reference, verse number 42, chapter 3, Bhagavad Gita. That verse 42, chapter 3, Bhagavad Gita itself is mantras from Kathopanishad. That itself is the mantra from Kathopanishad. Twice the same mantra appears in Kathopanishad. Twice the same mantra appears in Kathopanishad. Kathopanishad, section 3, verses 10 and 11. Section 6, verses 7 and 8. Again, Kathopanishad, section 3, verses 10 and 11. Section 6, verses 7 and 8. Indriyani paranyahuhu indriyebhya param manaha manasastu para buddhehe yo buddhehe parasastu saha. The order of subtlety is so clearly established. Okay. So anybody says anything, refer these verses. Now I'll explain it. Subtlety. Subtlety is measured by control and pervasiveness. Does body control the mind or mind control the body? That's all the question is. Does body control the mind or mind control the body? You can have a physical disability, you can have a physical pain, and continue. If you are mentally inspired and motivated, you can continue to do what you are doing irrespective of the disability of the body. If you are mentally disturbed, body gets affected. If you are bodily disturbed, mind need not be affected. If you are mentally affected, body is disturbed. It means mind controls the body and mind is not in the body. If mind is in the body, affectation of the body must affect the mind. But then in experience, you see, affectation of the body doesn't affect the mind, but the affectation of the mind affects the body. When you are in deep sorrow, you will not feel hungry. When you are in deep sorrow, you will not feel hungry. When you are really excited also, you will not feel hungry. Are you able to follow? It means it is the mind that pervades the body, and it can travel, exist even without the body. Are you able to follow? We have defined the body in 3 ways. Sukshma Sharira, Stula Sharira, Karana Sharira. The causal body, the subtle body, and the gross body. Gross body means physical body. Subtle body means the mind and intellect. Karana Sharira, which is subtler than the subtle body itself, which is the causal body. Therefore, we have, I'm not going into the detailed elaboration and explanation because all this we have studied. If you connect these words, you will know how to clear. Because all these terms, we are not hearing it for the first time. We have heard this any number of times. I'm just connecting the words so that you can work on this by yourself. The gross body, subtle body, causal body. Indriyani paranyahu indriyebhya param manaha. Manasastu para buddhehe yo buddhehe parasastu saha. Evam buddhe param buddhva. Next verse. In verse 43, chapter 3, he continues. So, it's a very, very, very illogical question. Now I'm answering. It's a very illogical question. Is body in the mind or mind in the body? A question which has no logic behind it. It's like asking, there are many questions like that. There are many questions like that, which doesn't make any sense. Yeah. In one of the old Tamil movies, or duet song there is a duet song with this. Is what is in what? What causes what? These are different layers of the personality. In the order of subtlety, you cannot ask what is in what. Is eyes in the face or face in the eyes? How can you answer? Are you able to follow the fallacy in the question? But then, not knowing the fallacy in the question, they go into a detailed, elaborate explanation, confusing themselves and confusing others. So, the body, the mind, the intellect are all different layers in the orders of subtlety in the personality. You cannot ask what is in what. Why? Because body, the gross body functions through organs. Mind and intellect functions through thoughts. Fundamentally, they are different. Again, I repeat. The senses, the body functions through organs. The mind and intellect is made up of chitta, the thoughts. So, materially both are different. Materially both are different. For effective functioning, all coexist and they function. For effective functioning, they all coexist. But you cannot say mind is in the body or body in the mind. The yoga schools wanting to say that, wanting to establish their superiority over the knowledge schools, they get into all this. Knowledge school says we are not interested in proving anything. This is the fact. What is the fact? Personality has very many layers in the order of subtlety. Annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, anandamaya kosha, in the order of subtlety. Are you able to follow? In the order of subtlety. Therefore, what is it? The question is mind in the body or body in the mind? For which you can answer anybody who had asked you this question. You answer them by saying, show me the mind, I will tell you. Show me the mind, I will tell you what is in what. You can show the brain, but the brain is not the... Are you able to follow? See, for you to say what is in what, is brain in the body, is mind in the body, or body in the mind? For which I will ask, a question can be answered by another question sometimes. You ask another question. What is the other question? Mind, body, I will tell you what is in what. But you cannot do that. Why? Because mind is of a subtler matter. Body is made up of gross matter. Mind is made up of subtler matter. What is subtler matter? The thoughts, the chit, the thoughts is made up of. Indiscriminate thoughts, mind. Discriminate thoughts, intellect. Thoughts going to the known areas is mind. Thoughts going to the unknown areas is intellect. The intellect, the rational discriminate part can control the indiscriminate part. These are all the discussions about mind and intellect with that material. What is that material? It is made up of the thought. A person asked Buddha how to control the mind. A person asked Buddha how to control the mind. Next day when you are coming for the class, bring your mind. I will show you how to control it, he said. Are you able to follow? Not knowing what the mind itself is, how can you say whether body is in the mind or mind in the body? Are you able to follow the fallacy in the question? I want to control the mind. How to control the mind? Buddha says, Modalla mind konduva, I will tell you how to control it. You don't know what it is, and then you are asking how to control it. Are you able to follow? But the mistake they make is the brain is misunderstood as the mind. No, sir. The anatomical heart is misunderstood as the mind, and the brain is misunderstood as intellect. intellect doesn't feel anything. You know, brain doesn't feel anything. You know that, no? You know that brain doesn't, you can take the knife and cut the brain into two, the brain will not feel anything. But without the brain, you cannot feel anything else. But the brain itself has no feelings, pain, sukha, dukkha, brain is there. Abdinna, intellect is brain, and anatomical heart is the mind. Transplant the heart, you have transplanted the emotions of the other. Transplant the brain, you have transplanted. Okay, I transplant to myself Einstein's brain. Will I become an Einstein? That's all. It's very straightforward. If I transplant Einstein's brain to myself, okay, if we can do that, yeah, first I will go and aspire to take the brain of a Ramatirtha or a Ramana Maharshi or somebody and put it here. So I become them straight away. Itself is the proof that body is a separate instrument, mind and intellect is a separate instrument. All these together is what the individual is. So you cannot ask. It's a very fallacious question, not knowing what the mind is, not knowing what the mind is. Mind means feelings, emotion, impulses, joy and sorrow. That is the mind. Attachment is the mind. How can you show all this in the body? Are you able to follow? Therefore, if anybody asks this question, is mind in the body or body in the mind, tell them, bring both together. I will tell you what is in what. You are not attacking the other, please. We are not attacking the other. We are not attacking the other or demeaning or insulting the other. We are only trying to explain. When they ask this question, they do not know what they are. They do not know what they are asking. Is it okay? And then there is one more question which I will WhatsApp the answer. Yeah, there is one more question you sent that I will WhatsApp. Is it okay? Huh? Is it okay, Ma? If you still have anything, think about it and come back. Our unmute him, unmute them, no? Unmute Vaijayanti.
Yeah. Unmute చేస్తాను.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay? Yeah. Fine. With this, we conclude for today. And the next one, I will text it. Oh, you have unmute them. They are saying something. Venkat. Vaijayanti, you wait. Venkat will unmute you. You can't unmute yourself.
Okay.
Venkat has taken
Very
all the
nice
control from me
explanation,
also.
sir.
He keeps all the controls with himself. He decides whether I speak or not. And now we have to wait for Venkat to allow us to speak. He has allowed you now to speak. Yes.
Sir, very nice explanation, sir. Very convinced.
Oh,
Thank
all
you,
right.
sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We continue next week with verse number 14 onwards.
Good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.